Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on porch time today, and we're not on the porch as you can tell. We are in the truck. We have, it's been a frustrating start off to the week, but that's what homestead is really all about. It's about, sometimes things don't always work out like they seem like they should. I've always done my porch time on the porch, in the swing, but today, it's got to be on the road. Because we had ordered us a wood heater, and they told us that this wood heater would arrive sometime between the 20th and the 26th. Well, the 26th is come and gone, and today is actually the 31st. So we called the company, and the company said it was actually shipped out on the 17th. Told us that it was actually in a warehouse in a town right next to us. It had been there since the 23rd. So we called that company. Sorry about the shaking of the camera. This road is extremely rough. So we called that company, and they told us, oh, well, we've been trying to call you for days. So I told them, I said, that's not possible because I've been waiting for days, and there has been no phone calls to my house. And I asked them what the phone number was, and when they called the phone number out, it was the wrong phone number. I gave him my new phone number, and he called it back to me and actually got it wrong when he did that. So the fact that they got that phone number wrong even when I told them the right number tells me that they're very incompetent. But they're delivering the heater sometime this afternoon, and hopefully we'll get it. But in the meantime, Wanda and I had planted our English peas, and we needed 2 more cattle panels to finish out our English pea trellis. And we were planning on going at a later date to, well, actually, to be honest with you, we've been holding off about going and getting the cattle panel because we didn't know when this wood heater was going to be coming in, and we didn't want to be away from the house. So now that we know when it's coming, we're taking advantage of this opportunity, and we're actually leaving and going to the city to get the 2 cattle panels that we need. And as a homesteader, sometimes these are things that just happen. You have to understand that life is not always easy as a homesteader. There's going to always be these ups and downs in homesteading. That's why homesteading takes a lot of planning and a lot of work to make it actually come into existence, I guess, or fruition, or whatever the word is that you want to use. And that there's going to be headaches and hiccups along the way. You've got to learn to work with these headaches and these hiccups in order to have a successful homestead. Now, you know, one of the things on homesteading, we've been talking about a lot of different issues, and for beginning homesteaders and for people who are just maybe not beginners, but they just are older people starting out homesteading. You know, we've talked about the houses, we've talked about land and animals and outbuildings and stuff like that. But a little bit today, while I'm on the road, I have to kind of keep my eyes on the road because I don't want to take my eyes off the road too much. People today are crazy where we live at. You have to drive defensively in order just to survive, and then there's no guarantees. But today I want to talk a little bit about gardening, maybe, and planting, and making the right choices with what seeds will grow in your area. You know, one of the worst things in the world you can do is to go out and buy a pile of seed sources, and you don't even eat that stuff. And see, that's what's wrong with a lot of these survival kits that you buy that's got these seeds in them. A lot of those seeds you're getting in those kits are things that you and your family don't even eat anyway. So why would you want to store a seed bank of seeds that you're not even going to eat anyhow? And that's just like canning. A lot of people, they can stuff and put it up, and they don't even eat it because it's not even stuff that they like. They did it just because they saw a video of somebody canning. Let that be rule number 1. Whatever you plan on growing and eating, or growing and canning, make sure that it's what you're going to be eating. Because, hey, I made that same mistake. I had piles of stuff canned that I don't even eat. And I realized here a while back that if a life-changing event was to take place, there's nobody in my family that eats half of the stuff we had canned. So we had to go in, we had to actually use that food to feed the pigs because we wasn't going to eat it. We emptied those jars out, and we started putting it back with stuff that we knew we was going to be eating. So make you a list of the types of foods that you and your family eat, and then start looking for the seeds of those particular products. And preferably look for heirloom seeds if you can. And then make sure when you order seeds that they're a variety that will actually grow in your area. Because you see, one of the problems is, and this is something I'm speaking from experience, it took me a long time to actually figure out what seeds would grow in my area, what variety of plants. Now, a lot of things will grow, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they will produce abundantly. I'll give you, for instance, like English peas. That's what we're planting. It took me several years to realize that there was only one variety from my area that I lived in that was actually going to produce an abundant supply enough of English peas that I would have enough to can. But see, I tried the Lincolns, I tried a whole array of different English peas, and they all produced some. But it wasn't in my area in Zone 8 that I realized that were my soil conditions that the Little Marvel was going to be the variety for me. Because now, Wanda and I can anywhere between, I don't know, usually year after year it varies a few jars, anywhere from 60 to, let's just say from 60 to 70 jars a year is what we get off of this particular patch that we plant there, those 6 rows, from the Little Marvels. The other varieties, I was only getting 20 and 30 jars. And you see, that's not feasible for me because I've got to have a year's supply in that small of an area. So I'll have to eventually locate the variety that would do well for me in the English peas. And it's no different with that. The same thing as with tomatoes, or it's you know, whether it's lima beans, corn, whatever. We have had for years to hunt for the variety for Zone 8 that actually produces abundantly for us. Because on our homestead, the food in which Wanda and I put up is basically, that's how we grocery shop a lot of times. That's our food supply. Now, don't get me wrong, we do still go to the grocery store. You know, because nobody, as we've mentioned in the other videos, is 100% sufficient. There's just absolutely no way. Even your forefathers went by the trading posts and different things, the general stores, and they picked up things like sugar and flour and whatever else that they needed, because they themselves did not even have the capacity. Even the wagon trains, whenever they were traveling from the east part of the United States to out west, they stopped at different places along the way and got things that they didn't have, because even then they weren't 100% sufficient. So that's one of the things you got to get in your mind is on your homestead there are going to be things that you're going to need to purchase. And not only with seeds that you're going to have to be concerned about and crops, you've got to think about with your animals, what are my animals going to be eating? What kinds of grasses grow in my area? Do I have a native grass that grows here that my animals will love? Check the area in which you move into. Find out what the native grasses are that grow in that area that animals eat freely, because there will always be a native grass that the animals feed on freely. My area that I live in, the native grass here is crabgrass. Crabgrass, I have not found an animal yet that doesn't like it. The other one is a white clover that grows here. It's a wild white Dutch clover. It grows here in abundance. I have not found an animal yet that does not like this clover. So these are some things to just think about when you're looking for a homestead is to see if there's any kind of invasive grasses on that homestead. We have a grass that grows here that is taking over the southern part of Mississippi. The state has tried to eradicate it through poisons. It's just not working. It's not got too big of a foothold. There's actually no way to control it. It's gotten started, and luckily Wanda and I so far have been able to keep it off of our property, but the property all around us has it, and we figure it's just going to be a matter of time before we have to deal with it ourselves. And that is Kogon grass. It came in here from the Philippines, and now that it's got a foothold, you know, if it gets on your property, you're just basically screwed, is all I can say. The roots give off a chemical that actually keeps anything from growing anywhere around it, and it really is invasive, and it just destroys the land. And the thing that gets me is there's so many people that don't even know anything about this grass, and they just keep letting it spread. It's really a bad situation. Another one that's a problem where we live at is kudzu. You know, kudzu came in here from China years and years ago, and it's just become invasive, just like the others. But kudzu, they have figured out there is some chemicals that they can use on it to get it under control. But wherever you're at, whether you're up north, they tell me quack grass. I mean, there's all these types of grasses that are invasive. And check the homestead out before you move on to it. See if there's some sort of invasive weed or grass that's going to grow there that's going to keep you from being a successful homesteader. Because like the Kogon grass that grows here, animals won't eat it because the edges of the grass blades are sharp like a razor blade. So they don't touch it, and you can't burn it. If you burn it, all you're actually doing is fueling it. It makes it even worse than what it was. So take your time on a homestead. Look at things like we talked about, what kind of food sources is on the property. Is there any kind of free foraging foods that's on the property? You know, just kind of get out and bum around a little bit on the property. Ask the landowner, can you do that? Because that's what I did on mine, and we realized that we have tons of wild huckleberries, we have some wild blueberries, we have chinkapins, we have smilax vines, we have all these things on our property that literally animals love. So these are a couple of 3 things I want to mention today on Porch Time to kind of just give you an idea about what to look for on a homestead. You know, think about the seeds you're going to be planting. Try to talk to some old people around. That's what I ended up doing. Find out what varieties grow best in your area. Plant only the varieties of things that you're going to eat. Can only the things that you're going to eat. Make sure there's no invasive weeds. Find out what the natural grasses are for your animals and stuff like that. And I guarantee you'll be a more successful and a happier homesteader. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.